It's a vibe with five, and you already know what it is. It's a vibe with five, and you already know what it is. Vibe with five, and you already know what it is. It's a vibe with five, and you already know this.
Oh, Joe. Joe, man. I just like seeing you, man. All we're doing is just like, it's the response to your fan base. That's it. We're just laughing. We're not worried about you lot.
You should be. You actually really should be. Like, all jokes aside, yeah, you guys don't even have an owner at the moment. Not a proper one anyway. You don't know whether you're coming, whether you're going.
I've lost 18 years, Joe.
Well, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It looks like it's all in disarray now. Is he big?
Listen, we've got an FA Cup final to worry about. We've secured top four. We finished third. And we've got another cup competition to try and hopefully win. Tough ask, tall order. But we're in it, mate. You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, like we were in the title race all season, you know, and we didn't win it. But
93% of the time you were in the lead. Just think how that feel. What does that feel like? Anticlimax of anticlimaxes.
Do you know what we are? Next season, FC. Come on, Arsenal. Let's go for it.
All right.
Guys. That was probably the intro right there, isn't it? Joe Bayer, Rio Ferdinand, Stephen Howson, back for a Vibe with Five Bank Holiday special. I don't hide, you know. I'm not one of these guys that start backtracking and stuff like that. We didn't win the league, but I'm still happy. I want to start off with the Arsenal game yesterday. Arsenal beat.
Wait.
5-star performance.
Wait.
God,
there is an entire scene of you at some point in the middle of the season saying, no, expectations changed. If we don't win the league now, it's a failure. Did you not? Rio, was you there?
Oh, Steve, have you seen the shot thing we put up on the Five yesterday?
Yeah, compilation video.
And all of these Arsenal mates, all of the mates, it's unbelievable. Like the way that they were so hyped that we're going to win the league, the belief carrying the trophy around. And then my man, what did he say again? What did he say? He
was just like, yeah, Rio, where are you? Watching it from home on your TV, lad. And then the next scene, I said, it's done, innit? He goes, yeah, it's done, it's over. And that's it. Like,
where are you today, Rio, man? You're watching from your TV.
That's it now, innit?
Yeah, no, it's done.
I saw him yesterday at the stadium.
Joe, the best. I'll answer the question in a minute. But the best one, part of that. Wait, let everyone, when you're watching that video we put out yesterday, right? Joe and all of these Arsenal fans like making the big like predictions and embracing winning the league too early, right? Just look at one of the last scenes. I think it's the last 30 seconds, when Joe's at the game asking people for comments coming out of the Arsenal game, and you're just getting blanked. Any response? Any?
Thoughts on the game?
Yeah.
Thoughts on the game?
Thoughts on the game?
Listen,
No. Thoughts on the game?
No.
Oh, mate.
The only video that you guys forgot to include in there was the one where we got beat by Man City with Ash and Steve. I think that was the only one that I thought, oh, yeah, that was missing.
That wasn't the City one. It was the week before. Who did you bottle it to the week before?
No, it was the City one where I went outside the stadium. Remember?
Ash didn't come on that one.
Would you say?
Anton was on that one. Anton was on that one.
No, you're talking about when they beat us at the Emirates, the first one. That one. Remember, Steve?
Oh, right. That was not in the cup.
No, it was the league. It was the first time they beat us in the league. But at the Emirates, yeah.
Do you know what, Joe? I mean, listen, I'm going to be serious about Arsenal now. We've had our jokes. It's been great fun this season, I must say, with you Arsenal fans, and you guys have been great value in that sense. But what I would say, Arsenal as a football club has made like ridiculous strides this season. Not many people would have had them in their top four, let alone competing to win the league. And in all seriousness, and I think that what they've done behind the scenes there, with Edu coming in, obviously, Mikel Arteta, what he's been doing there, and their recruitment's been spot on. But I think the whole ethos and expectations now around the club have been lifted dramatically. And the players also have to take huge credit. But I think that from a club that was kind of outside the top four, not really any hopes of getting in there, really, no real aspirations with any foundations to get in there, has really made huge strides. And I think they have to be commended on that. But And I think they've gone from a team that are hoping to get in the Champions League to this season. The expectations were that or the outcome of this season is a squad and staff and club that are disappointed in not winning the league. And to be in that position from where you were, I think you guys need a huge pat on the back. And the big key for you guys is going to be next season now, the recruitment window, but also now expectations from the fans and the players themselves and from Mikel Arteta and his team are going to be right, we've got to go again to try and win this league. And that's going to be the difference. That's the benchmark now. And you're a team now walking around with a target on your back. Yes, Man City are the main ones because they've won the league. But you guys now aren't going to be under the radar at all. It's not going to be, oh, wow, Arsenal look all right now up until the Christmas. Oh, they're serious now. You guys are serious. You've got a serious squad with some fantastic players and a really good manager doing his thing. And now the expectations and now the approach from other teams and managers is going to be very different. And it's how your players adapt and handle that now is going to be intriguing to see for me. So well done to you and your club.
I want to ask Rio, when was it?
Joe, sorry, Steve, what's that smirk for?
By the way, there's a Steve compilation video coming out tomorrow, tomorrow at 5 p.m. So you guys watching, there's a Steve compilation video. No, I'm not like you, Steve. I'm not going to do you dirty. We're just going to take the best of Stephen Howson moments on Vibe with 5 and put it up. So
Steve called it. He did call Arsenal's capitulation. He called it. Steve did call it.
But he was wrong the whole season. I'm not buying this whole season.
I was right. I was just wrong about when it happened.
Nah, man. You were wrong the whole season.
He called it every month of the season. He called it.
You can't do that. That's just he was calling us out every week. It's like, come on,
Joe, 93% of the time, I'm right every time.
Yeah.
Joe, what was the question? What was the question, Joe?
My question to you was, you talk about having a target on your back. And obviously, look, you've broken the transfer record twice, the British transfer record. When did you feel in your career that you started having a target on your back? Was it when you got called up to England? Was it when you had moved to Leeds and you were in the Champions League? Was it after you won the title at United, after you arrived there for 30 mil? What was it?
I think it happens most seasons. Something happens in your career. I think for me, and it's about setting targets for yourself that then you inside you start creating challenges for yourself. I think that was the key for me. I think that yes, moving from West Ham to Leeds, you automatically get a target on your back because it's a British record at the time, and then you move from Man United what leads to Man United, transfer record again. So they're easy targets on your back that you have to deal with, and they're challenges in your own head. But I think every season at different stages, you create new challenges for yourself, and I think that's what helps you continue your growth as a player. I think that creating those challenges from within are as big as the ones that you're getting from the outside, the expectations, because you're a big transfer. Like when I went to play with England, it wasn't like, oh, I'm with England now, I'm sitting at the table with internationals. It was like, right, the opposing centre forwards now are going to approach me differently. What else have I got? What can I bring to the game? Just little things like making sure that when I did get onto the ball, that I was doing things quicker all the time and not being lackadaisical, because I was always called lackadaisical because of my style of play as a young player, trying to refine that and just looking for little details in my game that I could add to my game so that I wouldn't be kind of pigeonholed and that's just me and I can only do that. It's like, for instance, going up against big strikers. I was always good with the ball and coming out of the ball, and I could have just settled for that, but I wanted to train, and I'd ask Ian Dowie and John Hartson, what makes it difficult for you guys when a centre half's coming up for headers with you? I've got to play against Duncan Ferguson, Kevin Campbell, Kevin Davis, like Dion Dublin, Les Ferdinand, big strikers. I want to know how to deal with these guys, and I was asked loads of questions to try and keep on improving. So that was from when I was at West Ham to when I go to eventually get to Man United, and I'm hearing and listening to strikers like Ruud van Nistelrooy, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Wayne Rooney. What makes it difficult for you? I'm getting little things out of them. What makes it difficult for you guys from opposing centre halves in conversations that I can add to my armoury to become difficult to play against for the other strikers we play in the Premier League in Europe?
So what you're saying is there's a gradual change in every element in your career. Is there one where after you, I don't know, I'm calling one out here. Let's just say after you won the Champions League, did you feel that strikers feared you? Because I saw a quote somewhere, and you know, you said that you knew that strikers wouldn't even try certain things with you because they just knew, you know, there was a fear element. When did you feel?
It was before the Champions League final. It was when we was winning the league. We won it back to back 3 times, like the City team did now. Listen, I'm sure Kevin De Bruyne goes into games now, and he thinks like a lot of the time there's players that will kind of try and stay away from him, or players will just man mark him so he doesn't get on the ball, because once he gets on the ball, they know he's devastating. But I think, and players sometimes I used to play games and think like, that striker's not even come near me today. Like, I don't understand. Like, we've got to play against the fullback or something like that and stayed out of the way. And that's what happens. But that comes over time. And to relate it to your team and to Arsenal, the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saliba and the like, they're going to have to bring new things to the game, so players are second guessing them again, because players will be doing their research. They'll have played against them a couple of times this season. They'll have known what their habits are. Like Saka, for instance, I want to see Saka balance out how many times he comes inside to outside, so it makes him a bit more unpredictable. Do you know what I mean? He always wants to come on his left foot. And listen, that's great because it's been devastating and it's worked for him a lot. But if he balanced that out with almost tried to get it 60-40, 50-50 in terms of coming outside to going inside, he's going to be a ridiculous problem. And even he's got that run now where the fullback gets it out wide and he runs inside and gets the ball on the inside of the foot of the opposing fullback from Ben White. What's the next dovetail? What's the next variation on that? He's just adding layers to your game. Odegaard, adding an extra layer of something. What else can Odegaard do to add something else to his game and refine what he's already doing brilliantly? So these are the questions for these players now, because you have to do that because people get used to you. You don't want to be someone that the players are getting used to and know your best tricks. There's only so many like a Robin who always does what he does, and you can't get near many of them. There's not many of them. I'm going to give the mic to Steve in a second, but we're on a roll here. Do you think Erling Haaland has added a little bit to his game since coming to the Premier League? And by the way, I'm using that as a chance to advertise. We've done an interview with Haaland, thanks to the FWA's, the Football Writers Association. You can see the interview on 5 as well, where I had to be honest with you, man. We spoke, you know, I got in my digs here and there. Ronaldo's right foot versus Messi's left foot. Which one are you taking?
Difficult. Since I've got quite an okay left foot, I will take Ronaldo's right foot.
But he's a player that interests me. I thought he was more of a just inside the box kind of striker. Have you seen something different with him this season?
Well, I think even just his approach play. I think later on in the season, a couple of goals that they scored, the ball went direct. I think Bayern Munich that way direct into him, lays it off to Kevin De Bruyne, spins. Kevin De Bruyne, I think he scored or he slipped someone else in. But but what it is I think that players are going to understand the way that he plays. But the problem you've got with City is that it's the system that overrides individuals. And he's always going to get chances in the box. I saw Andy Cole quote the other day, like, he gets so many chances because City as a team create so many chances. It's going to be almost near impossible. If you've got a predator in that box to score goals, they're going to get goals. Sergio Aguero scored goals in his team. Alvarez scores goals in this team. Haaland is always going to score goals. Sterling. But what we haven't seen is teams as much come on to City like Liverpool did the seasons when they were challenging and really play high and aggressive against them, because then that opens up another way for him to score over the top behind. He's done it a couple of times early in the season against West Ham, I think it was, at City against Brighton. He done it once or twice, but we didn't see it a lot. We may see it more next season. Who knows?
Steve, go on. We were still on the Arsenal topic, by the way, Steve, just in case you lost where we were, but go on, mate.
Well,
over to you.
There's a few things that I got to pull you out on here, right? As I've said all season, even towards the back end, as it looked like you weren't going to win the league, all the Arsenal fans immediately switched to next season we'll do better, we'll build on this. And it's not always the case. It isn't always the case that you go second, you go close, and then you maintain any sort of challenge. Sometimes you can peak. And one of my concerns, and it's not really a concern for me because I enjoy it, if anything, but one of the things that I'd be concerned with is, if I was an Arsenal fan, is you guys put so much pressure and expectation on your players. The realities are, there were 3 teams that had a better improvement than Arsenal did this season. And there were a couple of teams that...
How many of them were challenging for the title, though, Steve?
I'm talking about pure point swings, right? Newcastle added 22 points from this season to the title.
How many of them were challenging for the title?
Joel, can I finish? Right? Newcastle added 22 points from this season to last, so they gained more points than you did. United added 17 points from last season to this. Villa added 16 points from last season to this, and even hamstrung themselves at the start of the season by having Gerrard in there. Arsenal added 15 points. But you added 15 points and totally tossed off the other cup competitions. Newcastle got to a cup final. United are in 2 cup finals. Brighton added 11. There's only 4 points behind you. They got to a semi-final. You know, Brentford added 13. So what you did wasn't special. It was nice. It was good. Well done. But you didn't add that much. And you got to remember, Chelsea dropped 30 points this year. Liverpool dropped 25 points. Spurs dropped 11 points. This is just on where they were last season.
Steve,
so to say you're definitely going to improve, you can't say that you're definitely going to improve. I won't tell you that United will definitely improve. Next month.
But Steve, one thing I would say, Steve, to that, I agree. I understand what you're saying. The only thing that I would say that on top of that is that one of the biggest shifts that you can get within a football club is the culture and the mindset. And I think that's something that has shifted dramatically at Arsenal over the teams you've just mentioned.
Over Brighton, over Newcastle.
Yeah, because
Newcastle maybe.
But we're actually going for the top prize. It doesn't matter what anyone says. You can sit here and you can talk about the points, but the reality is we wouldn't even dream of saying we're challenging for the league title last season. Doesn't matter what anyone says. All those other teams can make improvements. Yeah, but we were actually going for the top prize. We didn't get there in the end, but that hasn't been Arsenal Football Club's mindset for 19 years. So say what you want to say. Sometimes, even if it was from second to third, you can be third and you're not challenging. You can just be third for the sake of it. And that's not even a shot at Man United. It's just the truth. But when you're actually challenging for the title and your players are saying we should have won it. If you heard Odegaard after the match yesterday, he said it wasn't good enough, there needs to be changes. Mikel Arteta coming out and speaking to the fans. It shows where we are as a club. Credit to those other clubs, Steve. But Arsenal Football Club, listen, dare I say it, we're back.
Well, do you know what? The result that you got yesterday was symptomatic of exactly what the problem is. Pressure was off yesterday. You definitely come in second. Yeah. And you absolutely smacked someone up. That right there tells you the mentality of this Arsenal team. You raced into a lead because nobody saw you coming. Everyone was too busy looking at Chelsea, at Liverpool, at City, at the new manager at United, and all the attention was on those clubs. And then someone goes, hang on, have you seen what they're doing? And then you're already in front. And you maintained it. You maintained it way longer than I think any of you, and certainly I thought you could maintain it, but the result was the same. You didn't win the league. So it doesn't matter. I agree with you there, and look, those previous times, 2008, when you led for how long? 2014, when you led for how long? The times that Arsenal have led for more than 50% of the season and still not won the league, that's all happened since 2004. So you can't say that this is different because we've all seen this film before. Arsenal get carried away. Your fan base puts too much pressure on them. Next season happens, you crumble.
Oh, Steve is spitting some facts this morning, Joe. I don't know if you can
No. It's different, and the reality
it's in your culture. It's in your culture at the club. It's shown.
This is football heritage, Joel.
DNA. It might be your DNA.
This is the kind of stuff that we're going to be putting in this Steve compilation. Just a whole load of wass, mate. That's what we're going to be putting tomorrow at 5 p.m. You know, but the reality is, I don't really mind because I know that it's down to what we do this summer. I've been saying it. If we can go in the market and get the likes of Declan Rice, who, Rio, you've stated many a times that you want at Manchester United because of his leadership qualities, because of the player that he can be. Those kind of players, when you add them, it makes a difference because when Party goes quiet for 8 weeks, you know, you've got him there. When you've got other players such as Zinchenko who might slip outside, whatever.
Whoa. So Rice is coming in to play back up to Party. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Do you know what?
Because
I could see Declan Rice doing some bits replacing Xhaka at Arsenal as a permanent replacement. I upset the West Ham fans last week because for some reason they seem to think that he's worth somewhere in the region of 120 mil. And for me, to be 120 mil, you've got to be like world-class, all-star sort of player. If Declan Rice was cheaper, I'd absolutely bite your hand off for him. But the circumstances being what they are and United needing to prioritise a striker, I think spending 120 million on a midfielder is mental. But there were a lot of West Ham fans that were saying he's the best midfielder in the league. And I can't agree with that at all.
He's not yet.
Rio, do you think Arsenal's far? Like when you look at us and what we would need to beat City, would you think there's a huge gulf?
I think the biggest problem you've got at the moment, you looked at the game yesterday, is squad depth. The depth of your squad ain't there. If Saka comes out of your team, what's coming in? Do you know what I mean? Martinelli comes out. Really, is there a good enough replacement at that level? Is going to be Trossard's done well, yeah. But I just think that like Odegaard comes out of your team, Saliba comes out of your team. Defensively, you capitulate. Do you know what I mean? So Partey starts the game at right back yesterday. Do you know what I mean? So like these things here, I think you just need a few squad fillers that can come in and impact your first 11 because your first 11 has showed that they're very good. But then I think you need a couple to come and improve your starting 11. Declan Rice does improve your starting 11, no doubt for me, if you do go and get him. But it's whether the price is going to be able to be is a price that Arsenal agree with and that West Ham accepts. I think there might be a big disparity between where both clubs are at the moment. If they can close that gap and get it done, I think Declan Rice, as part of your culture driving, as having somebody that wants to improve, that can improve others, that gel squads together, is a real team player. That's not even talking about his ability as a footballer. I think he's fantastic. And I think there's levels to jump for him ability-wise. I think he's someone that wants to learn and always striving to improve. And I think doing that at a club like Arsenal, whose aspirations are different to West Ham, no disrespect, they are. I think he'll have a real opportunity to really improve himself as a player and go to another level.
Agreed. Saying that,
there's one more thing I wanted to say on the Arsenal, right? This season, Arsenal have won all competitions, 33 matches of football, right? So far, United have won 41. I think that puts the nail in the coffin of the who's had the better season argument.
No, it doesn't, Steve. Yeah. Just because you've come out and you've laid out a few skewed facts doesn't mean you've had a better season than us. You're about to go get slapped up by City on the 3rd of June, mate. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. When you come back and you're like, oh, but we got there in the end. Oh, but you didn't win. Just like what you're saying, Joe, we didn't win.
Joe, tell the truth. Tell the truth, Joe. If in 5 years' time, when someone says, "Oh, we finished second and we pushed a great City team to win the championship," we finished second, is anybody really going to remember that?
Rio, we've done it twice last few years.
Because I remember Liverpool's once. So yes, we will remember it. Anyway, I want to give a massive shout out to Xhaka for the great service that he's given my club. 2 great goals yesterday. He's a great example that sometimes things can start off bad, but you can turn things round. And I never thought he would be a player that I would clap off like I did yesterday. And there's a side of me that's it's a bit sad that he might be leaving. But I think if
who's been your player of the year, Joel?
Odegaard? No, it's out of Odegaard and Saka. If I'm honest, I know Odegaard's probably been the better player, but I love the fact that we could rely on Saka when we needed it. I never thought he would become the clutch player that he could be. Games against United, like the whole season, I look at him and I just think, wow. I do agree with you, though, Rio. I think there needs to be a variance of his game. I think that will come. I'm glad we've tied him down to the contract, and it's out of those 2.
14 goals, 11 assists for Saka this year. I'll probably just give it to Odegaard just as his influence. I think even in big games, I think he's the one Saka they look to, but the rhythm of the game, etc., they look to Odegaard, and I think he's been brilliant.
Can't argue with you. But yeah, 5-star performance by Arsenal yesterday. Champions League football, we're back. Moving on to Manchester United. Started off scary against Fulham, didn't it?
Fulham are a problem. Fulham are a problem, simple as, especially when you rotate the 11 a little bit. And Rio, have you ever had a game like that where the match you're currently playing in is dead rubber, and you've got like a cup final playing the week after? You ever had that?
Yeah.
What's your mentality going into that?
I've got to be honest, I didn't even want to play in the game because sometimes we'd won the league already with like 4 or 5 games to go, whatever it was. And you've got Champions League final or you've got a FA Cup final or whatever. And you think to yourself, I don't want to risk even getting injured. Like, just play these games, or you just try and go through the games. I actually said to players, opposing strikers, I forget, there's loads of them I'd have said to, listen, calm it down now. Listen, you ain't playing for nothing. Season's over. 2 games left. Just relax, man. Stop running in the channels. Relax yourself, man. Stand on the halfway line and get it to feet. I don't want to run in the channel. Do you know what I mean? But you get these busy strikers that they can't help it. They want to get a goal at Old Trafford or against United, so it never used to happen. But it was, you are fearful of getting injured, and you are like worried about overexerting yourself, and you want yourself to be in tip-top condition for when the final does come around. And I think Man United's players, would have started that game yesterday. But then what I liked is a bit of pride kicked in, went 1-0 down, and you go, you see a difference, you see a reaction.
I liked, I said this on my review last night, with Fred, you get a 0 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, and there is nothing in between with him. I think looking at how it went at Wembley against Brighton and how it's gone previously against City this season, I think Fred could be one of the first names on the team sheet against City. Move Bruno maybe over to the right-hand side where he's got a little bit less sort of defensive responsibilities than he would have in the middle. Put Fred in there for a little bit of legs, because I think the only criticism that you can even contemplate throwing at Eriksen and Casemiro, who've been mega this season, is when you come up against an energetic team, those two as a 2, if they've not got a third player in there with them, do look like they can get run ragged a little bit, chasing people.
You know what? I know what you're saying, but I think Sancho has come into a bit of form, and I think he's got to stay in the team.
I think he can still stay in the team. He can play on the left.
Yeah, maybe. But I think I'd play Bruno on Rodri. I think he's everything great about this City team. A lot of it, most of it comes through him, and I think I'd want someone on him who can just buzz around him, but when we get the ball, run off him and get off the back of him, because I think he's so integral to what they do. Just stop him getting on the ball, and I think allow John Stones to come out and create holes for the front 3 to run into, and then meet him on the halfway line or wherever it is. But I want Rodri kept quiet, and I'd want gaps, and I'd entice one of the back 4 to come out with the ball. It's always been Stones recently, and I want him to keep coming as far as you want when I've got the people like Rashford, Sancho to be able to run into them big gaps, man. And then it's about
Sancho on the left of it, because I don't think you're beating Kyle Walker in a foot race. Marcus's go-to move is that I'm just quicker than everybody, and I'll beat whoever it is to the ball. But that's not the case with Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker's so quick that I think you nullify your main attacking threat if you put Rashford up against Kyle Walker. I say move him inside and have him coming off the centre half. So, like you said, coming off John Stones, if you can get John Stones to step up a little bit, create a little bit of a hole in behind him, put the ball in behind there, that's, I think, going to be United's biggest threat next week.
Yeah, and I think also with Sancho, I think, listen, he's shown glimpses now, but he's still got a long way to go to convince everybody that he's a full-fledged Man United player. But I believe that if they can get players close enough to him on the pitch, he's such an intelligent footballer. I mean, everyone expects him to be just a dribbler that comes over. He's got an intelligence to the way he plays. If he can get people to bounce off and run, that's where he could hurt Kyle Walker. He's not going to beat him in a foot race or physically. But if he's got bodies around him and he can play 1-2s and opposite movements and get the returns here and there and then play balls through for people, for runners, he becomes a problem. But I think he needs the other parts of the team to function for him to be able to perform at his best. And that's what I think the nuances that they need to sort out at United for him to be able to perform. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think, listen, Man United have got to be at their best, tip-top best to even have a chance of beating City. But, I mean, you look at the season, I think it's interesting when I see a couple of stats popped out from the end of the season about Erik Ten Hag. And there were lots of reservations about, is he going to be the guy? Can he transfer what he's done at Ajax to this league in the Premier League? But this season, he's equalled the Man United's all-time club record for most home wins in a single campaign, 27. I mean, it's phenomenal, really. I think 2002, 2003 team done that. So that says one thing, that there's a consistency at home, and it's becoming a bit of a fortress at home.
Rio, I hear that, but this is what I don't like about stats, because let's be honest with you, it's well done, great achievement in that, but it's overrated because you didn't do anything. You didn't challenge. So you can realize
Joe. We're starting from. Can I just say something, Joe? We're starting from so low. The expectations at this football club were so low. He's brought us to a place. Listen, last season, teams were coming to Old Trafford, not even having to roll up their sleeves and roll us over. They were coming there on the front foot, every single team saying, we are going to batter Man United.
How good it looked then.
Joe, you got to think about where we were. It's not because it's Man United of yesterday. They've got to challenge immediately. No. There's got to be an improvement. The remit was to finish in the Champions League, and that's it. They got a Carabao Cup, finished third on 75 points, most clean sheets, a club record in terms of most home wins in a single campaign. Beaten all of the big six at some point this season. One home defeat all season. We're in the FA Cup final. Champions League secured. That's massive improvement from where we were.
Great. So why is it that when I say, oh, by the way, I'd rather have Arsenal season, it's all from about perspective, right? We've come from where we were and we've challenged City. Oh, no, but it's not been a better season than Man United. No, you've got to look at where we are and where we've come from. That's what I've been saying. That's all I've been saying. But
what did you win?
You said it, Rio.
What did you win?
It's all right.
What did you win?
It doesn't matter.
Because if it's just about progression, Newcastle on a bad season.
Because you're talking about the 27 home wins, yeah? It's all about progression, right?
Right, so Newcastle had a better season than you, yeah?
You didn't play a final. You didn't play your Carling Cup final at Old Trafford, did you? No, it's all about the progression. Do you see what I'm saying? Are you there?
We won the Carabao Cup. That's all it is. We won the Carabao Cup. That's all they got to say.
I don't like the fact that all of a sudden the Carabao Cup is the pinnacle, right, of competitions. Rio, it
just separates Man United from Arsenal this season in terms of who's done better. That's all I'm saying. It ain't big difference.
It's all about perspective. It's all about perspective because, like I said, we've won 4 FA Cups in 9 years. Carabao Cup is the last thing we needed. It's the last thing we needed.
And you got to think about this as well. At the start of the season, when Erik Ten Hag took over, he could have reasonably expected Mason Greenwood's situation would have got resolved. He could have reasonably expected that Cristiano Ronaldo might have still been here come the end of this season. He could have reasonably expected he might have had Cavani or Anthony Martial at some point this season. So if you're talking about perspective, United have had 4 strikers that we ain't had. And like you said, we signed Van Ghost, it's not worked. We've got a goalless striker up front and we still won something.
Yeah, and we've got, and you know what as well, Joel? Like, all of those things there, the Greenwood situation, the Harry Maguire situation as captain out of the team, Cristiano Ronaldo, not having a striker, like you say, to play up there consistently. These are massive issues at a football club that your club ain't had to deal with that. Ain't had none of these big issues on the side shows that were just dominating coverage in the media. These are huge.
Yeah, you know, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be a Man United hater. Right? No, I don't want to be a Man United hater. I think he's done well as a manager, and I empathize with the situations that he's had. It's more to do with you lot, like the likes of Steve, Rio. Like I just feel like it's one rule for you and one rule for the Arsenal team. So
I think one thing that when you look at us, Joel, yeah, I look at Ten Hag said something yesterday. Obviously, looking at players for recruitment next year, and he said that last year when he came in speaking to players to come into the football club, there were reservations about coming and joining Man United. Made it difficult for him to bring any players in. But he said now they can see the ambition in this project and they want to come. Quality players really want to join Man United now, is what he's saying, because he's got his tentacles out in the market, hearing and listening to what players' responses are to interest, and it's all positive. That's a big sign and a tip to the cap to say, you know what, something's going right there at the moment. Not completely, but it's being better than what it was.
Not just new players, old players as well, because I want us to talk about Bruno Fernandes a little bit. I don't know if you want to read out the stats, Steve or Rio, but since the Liverpool sulking or whatever the heck he was doing, and I criticised him massively for it when Patrice Evra came on the show, his attitude's turned around, man. He's actually taken the goal-scoring pressure as well. The pressure's off Marcus Rashford for a long time as well. Exceptional season for Bruno Fernandes.
Pretty normal season, really, for Bruno Fernandes.
Go on.
He has been exceptional since he joined Manchester United. He's absolutely shit goals and assists. And for some reason, people have a bit of a bee in their bonnet about how often he loses the ball, but he You've got to allow someone in your look. If your centre half and your goalkeeper are taking risks, you've got problems. But if your creative outlet is taking risks, no problem. That's what he's there to do. Otherwise, you have safe, boring Louis van Gaal football where everyone stands on a particular spot and they just pass it to each other. Like you got to have some player that's got a little bit of flair about him, a little bit of chance creation, a little bit of risk, and you got to play with risk. That's what it's all about. And he gets into really good positions to be able to finish stuff himself. He puts so many balls in. And I don't know where he's ended up finishing. It's either him or De Bruyne vying for first and second for the amount of chances that have been created. When you consider how much more balls City have than us, you'd have to say pound for pound is the most creative player in the Premier League. And we don't even have a striker for him to aim to. Imagine we had a Haaland to aim to.
Exactly.
You're overhyping it a little bit. I do agree he's done well. And I think his attitude shift has been key for me. There are seasons where I always say, his back was hurting, especially the first couple when he arrived at United. I think there was a little bit of a dip last season, but I think halfway through the season, he's shown that he is absolutely undroppable, whether it be as a cam, whether it be as on the right. He's really stepped up. Go on, Rio.
I think he's been tremendous. I think some criticism's been aimed at him for his body language and whatnot over the course of the season, especially. But he has responded, and I think he cares. He does care, and it's just sometimes it's showing it in the right way. But he absolutely cares about being a top footballer. Wants to be successful at Man United. Understands the history and expectations there. And like Steve said, from the day he's walked into the football club, he has been the guy that the club has had to look to in all of the moments when they needed something, because he has been a tremendous addition to this football club in terms of goals, chances created, assists. Like you say, I think it's only Kevin De Bruyne that's anywhere near him this season in terms of chances created. He's created 119 chances. So, what I would say, yes, I'll let you throw them stats in, Steve, just to compound it all. But if I'm a number 9 in world football now, and I'm looking at going to Man United, if you can't go to City or you can't go wherever, after City in the Premier League, you're thinking to yourself, I could score so many goals playing behind this guy. Like what he could do with a ball, put a ball on the sixpence with. If I've got half decent movement, I'm getting 25 chances minimum just from him. Like, because he's that good with the ball. If he gets any time, when they don't even need time, he turns and faces the game, he puts the ball anywhere you want it. And I think if Man United, the two wide players, Rashford does it. We could do it more. If Sancho plays on the other side, whoever it is plays on the other side, if they just think about once he gets the ball and make runs in behind, this guy, I wouldn't even think about getting the ball to feet. I just want it in behind the whole time, because he's going to find me, and I'll be telling him before the game. And imagine being a number 9. My mouth will be watering. I'll be saying, get me in that club ASAP now. I need to get there, because I think he's that good. And yeah, like Steve said, these type of players, imagine you got a number 10 that don't take risks. That wants to get on the ball and play short 5-yard, 10-yard sideways backward passes. No, get out of the team, turn, face the game, play people in. That's what he does.
He's good.
Anyway, chances created this season: 119 chances created by Bruno this season. Now, no striker's ever going to finish 1 in 1, but can you imagine? He, on his own, created 119 chances. Second is actually Kieran Trippier, which surprised me a little bit, with 110. Kevin De Bruyne's on 98, not even over 100.
See, shows you.
Odegaard's on 76.
No, important player. But we've got to go again. We've got a transfer window coming up. We've got to go again. This is going to be really important, this transfer window. Man United have to get it right. Obviously, a striker is a huge importance. That number 9, who we get, and if it's not Osimhen and it's not Kane, it's going to deflate me. I've got to be honest. I don't know how you feel, Steve, but if it ain't one of those two players, I'll be massively deflated. I don't think anyone else, unless I can't see anybody else who comes in who you go, right, I understand that, and that's for immediate now results.
There's no one that outside of those two, but I think those two are going to cost you some serious cash. And there's some talk over the last week that Daniel Levy wants 100 million for Kane to go now rather than let him go on a free. I don't know if that's bluster. I don't know if that's him trying to make sure that he don't get had off. But would you spend 100 million on a player now?
I think in today's game, today's market, I think I'd probably spend it now. I probably do. I probably just because Man United. Imagine Man United had another 25 goals to what they've done this season. A player that can change the dynamic in your team completely. Like I think Man United, they're in a position where they're gonna have to pay a big chunk from one of those two if they want one of those two. And I think I'll just go and give it because I think Erik Ten Hag can't be thinking, oh, we'll wait next year. He might not be here in a year the way football is at the moment. I hope he will be.
Exactly.
I think he will be. But the way football is, you can't think about, in a year's time. And that's another year older that Harry Kane will be as well. Do you want to wait that long? Like, no, man. You've got to go and get these things done now.
I want to add quickly as well, like everything you're saying, Rio, is true because who knows where Chelsea's going to be in a year's time. It's all about basically you got to really assert your dominance in the league, man, because you could close your eyes and then in a year's time or 2 years' time, Newcastle are the champions. Do you see what I mean? And by then, you've got to make sure that you close the gap and you really assert yourself because someone like Harry Kane as well, he's a rarity, innit? Like 100 mil in today's football, it's probably like 50 mil, you know, if you're looking at it at your time.
He's guaranteeing you 25 goals. It's straight. Like if you win a few trophies or whatever, the shirt sales will probably get you that back anyway. Like it's the guy just guarantees goals. He's a goal machine, man. Generational goal getter. Simple as.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon wins the league first? Newcastle, United, Arsenal, or Harry Kane?
You say Arsenal?
Ooh. I'd still put United ahead of that group if they get it right in this window. They got to get it right in this window. Can't wait.
Do you think the budget is going to be dictated to by the owners, or because there's supposedly some sort of FFP restrictions on United at the moment?
FFP plays its part. I don't think Man United can go into the market and buy like a top drawer centre forward and a top drawer centre midfielder. I think they're going to have to shift a lot of players to enable them to have the budget to go and get both or to have a chance of getting both. I don't think they can do it. Striker, priority, number one. And then they're going to have to get a couple of players in and around the midfield. I think they do need one or two players in the midfield area that can get goals, add goals or assists, but also engine to that midfield. And I think it's someone.
Do we go back for De Jong, do you reckon?
Nah, the man don't want to come. The man ain't showed the intention that he wants to come, so leave him.
I think it's him trying to not get himself. They owed him 17 million, which I think if he has to leave, he wasn't getting.
It sounds too difficult, too complicated. Let's go, man. Move on. Even I think Kovacic has got a year left. Go and get someone like him. Drives the.
There's going to be a fire sale at Chelsea, isn't there?
Yeah.
Someone should be going shopping at Chelsea this summer.
Mason Mount's an interesting one. If he's not going to get re-signed at Chelsea, he's interesting because he scores goals and he gets assists. I think he's someone who would fit into the way Man United play. I think if he's available, which it seems like he is, I think every one of the top six will be interested in Mason Mount.
I've heard he might be going to Liverpool.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. He'll be a great addition to their squad. By the way, Liverpool will be challenging next year, I think. I think Liverpool challenge next year. As much of a drop-off they've had this season, I think they come again. I think recruitment will be important. It's like it's for everybody. But if they get the right pieces, they've got the depth up front with the players. Salah's still banging in goals no matter what you say. Nunez, I'm sure, will be better again. Gakpo will be better again. So Jota fit. Jota will be better again, getting them more goals scored again yesterday. So I think they can go again. I think they're going to be a real team that we have to keep your eye on. They don't just fall away, Liverpool.
Who do you sell to raise some funds at United?
Scott McTominay hasn't played much football this year, as much as he would like, I don't think. If I was him as a young player, I'd probably start assessing that situation, having real hard conversations with the club. Do you see me as part of it or not? But
he played Manu over him a few times, did he, as well?
Yeah. Fred seems to be above him in the pecking order. Obviously, Eriksen and Casemiro obviously are as well. So if I'm that far down the pecking order, I'll definitely start looking at it. And I don't think he'll have a problem finding a club. I think he's a very, very good footballer. And I think he could add a lot of value to clubs. He'd be one that I'd look at probably. I'd look at Harry Maguire has to look at a new option for himself. Unless he says, I'm happy to be third or fourth choice. Wan-Bissaka's played himself back into being a very, very good member of the squad. Dependable. I would look at, obviously, Weghorst ain't going to be here. I don't know where else you're going to get. Elanga, maybe. He's not getting the chances and opportunities. Martial hasn't proved that he can stay fit or consistent.
Think you could raise 100 million through sales?
I think if you got rid of those three there, that's 100 million sitting there. Those four with Elanga maybe. Because Elanga ain't getting the football he deserves. He's a young player who's done well when he came in, still not getting a chance. Big players in front of him, but I think someone like that wants to play first team football. McTominay might be someone who fits into being a really good squad player. If that's what he's okay with, then I think he's a very good squad player who I'd keep as well.
Rumours that we're going to get 30 million for Dean Henderson, which is nice.
Another one, Dean Henderson. Yeah, Dean Henderson's another one. You
might want to consider Ahmed Diallo as well. Is he going to come back and break in? Is he going to get a chance, or is that one you sell?
He's an interesting one. Diallo's got huge talent. There's no doubt in that. When he comes from Italy and then he comes here, and you can see the talent he's got, but he just obviously wasn't robust enough at the time. But that loan at Sunderland, mate, he left that place a hero, absolute god over there at Sunderland. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be interesting what they do for him. And he plays on the right hand side, by the way, a problem position for us. I know Anthony's come in and done well, but he's someone who you could maybe look at and say, can he add something a little bit different? I'd like to see him given another opportunity, Diallo. I've got to be honest, just because it's a bit of unfinished business there. And I don't know if he's not good enough or not right for Man United, or he is because I haven't seen enough and he was too young when he first come.
Did you see the goals at Liverpool yesterday? Southampton, Liverpool. I mean, there was a lot of goals. Any comment on some of those goals?
4-4.
I knew he was going to come with this, man.
Liverpool 4, Southampton 4. Steve, you're an arsehole, you know.
All right. You tell me that I'm wrong in what I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, now, I think it might have been you that said this to me years ago. You can't defend the goal if you're looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many of those goals. Trent is looking at his own goal. He's too late to react. Things are coming from behind him. He ain't aware of what's going on around him. He is a massive, massive defensive liability because the guy can play football. Like, the guy's got all the technique and the vision in the world. And I'm not sure if I would move him into midfield either, because I think defending in midfield, there's still a defensive element to playing in midfield. And I think arguably you need to have a little bit more 360 awareness in midfield, whereas it's only maybe 180-degree awareness in defence. We'd probably argue the opposite, but I don't know where you put him. I don't think he's a right winger because I don't think he goes past people enough. I think he's got excellent delivery, excellent vision, but where do you play him? Do you play him in?
You could be wrong on that one, though. Do you know why I say you could be wrong on that one? I agree with everything you said, Steve, so far, besides the right winger part, because yes, football's changed, but one of the best right wingers, probably the best that we've ever seen in the Premier League, David Beckham, he wasn't known for beating anyone. I think where he's similar is he would get the ball.
Yeah, but
the game changed. You got Salah. Salah's playing right wing. You can't put Trent there.
Yeah, no.
And also, David Beckham defensively worked hard.
Beck's one of the best defensive right wingers that I've seen.
Was he that good? Was he that good defensively, Rio? Because obviously
Gary Neville. That's why Gary Neville pours his wine when he's with him. That's why Gary Neville carries his bags when they go away together. That's why Gary Neville says thanks Beck every time he sees him and hugs him and kisses him. Because
who's the hardest player that you know, Joe? Which player do you think of and you go, wow, what a grafter?
There's a few though, isn't it? In the Premier League or in Italy? Or Spain, where?
Go Premier League.
I mean, you had the likes of Vieira, who worked hard, really hard. Roy Keane, obviously a grafter. I'm trying to think in other teams. James Milner, very hard-working player.
What do you mean? Steve, what's the point of that question?
Beckham probably worked harder than all of them. And I'm not just talking about
distance.
Kick training. I'm talking on the pitch, 90 minutes. The guy was doing doggies. If you go, I tell you what, you try and find me a clip of United when Beckham was playing where an opposition left winger has got the ball and David Beckham's not in the shot. He would double up with Gary Neville like it was just a rule. Like you didn't see Beckham.
The only time he didn't do it was when Fergie kicked the boot in his head and cut his eye. There's the only time he didn't do it when against Arsenal.
And then he was gone 2 months later.
Yeah, the manager told him, listen, you've got to make sure that their left side is the most dangerous part. Pires, Henry and Ashley Cole, and if you don't defend properly, and we cut the both goals come in the first half, I think, down that side, and the manager went bananas. But defensively, mate, he was unbelievable. His work ethic was a joke. He took pride in working hard, and that's one of the things when I first went to Man United that I thought, wow, this is mad. The Giggsy, I remember he used to say, like, I hate playing on the side where the manager is because he just continuously shouts at you. So Bex used to play on that side one half, and he used to say, I just don't like playing on his side because all you get is you just hear his verbals. But one thing they always used to say, if you don't track back, you get dragged at half time or whatever. You get dragged off the pitch, and then he just verbally assaults you in the change room because work ethic is just an expectation that's just there. But the moment you come into the doors at Man United, whether it's under 10 or under 9 player through to the first team, you've got a graft. And if you leave your fullback, the only player that we ever see him allowed to kind of cheat a little bit was Cristiano. But he was a world superstar, Ballon d'Or winner 5-time. You know what I mean? Like this guy, you saw the reasons why, and then part of the team adjusted to support that. So Darren Fletcher would shift out to the right a little bit from that side of midfield, or you'd have Owen Hargreaves that would come out there a little bit. And so, but Beckham, none of that. Both sides of the game, attack and defend at the same tilt. No letting off, 100% both ways. What a player.
I want to move it on because I know Steve's got interesting information about the Liverpool game, shall I say. I'll be real. I like Trent, innit? And I find it hard to criticize him. I can't say that he's been great defensively this season, but I think he's such a player there. And I'm very interested to see what Klopp does next season. That's why I sometimes feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about it, because I just think, what's really going on there? So that's
do you know what? Just to finish on that point with Trent, I think it's an interesting and really important summer for him. I don't think anyone can doubt his ability. Steve touched on it there. You can't doubt his ability with the ball. He's probably as good as anyone in the league in terms of passing with the ball and putting the ball in an area that makes it danger for opposing players. But if you're a right back, you need, like we just spoke about David Beckham, you need a balance to your game. And I think at the moment there's a huge imbalance in his game. And I think it's there because I've watched him lock down people like Sane when they were at prime time. 1v1 at Anfield. I was there and watched it, and I thought, well, let me see what he's got. Went into the game, full commitment, but you could see that type of game at that point in his life. He'd gone into that game thinking solely about defending, and I've got a job to do today, and that's to defend against Leroy Sané. Whereas at the moment, I think there needs to just be a mental shift the way he approaches the game. I think he's too far about with the ball at the moment. I'm presuming from looking from the outside. I haven't spoken to him or know any details, but looking from the outside, I think he approaches the game thinking about assists and goals and creating chances. Maybe it might be the way the game's changed a little bit, and it's become really focused on about when we have the ball rather than like looking at the opposition and making sure that we nullify them. But as a right back, and I just feel that you've got it is a lot of the time. It's like, what can I do to affect the opposition? I think what he thinks about what I can do to affect the opposition's left winger is be on the ball and getting advanced positions, rather than sometimes saying I can do that, but let me just make sure that he don't get a sniff today. He ain't going to get, and minimise his shots on goal, minimise his chances at goal, minimise his runs behind me, minimise his 1v1 duels against me. And I don't think the balance has been there enough for him to be that complete player that I know he can be.
Yeah, I think you're right. I like him, and I hope that he does improve in that element. I'm going to rattle through the rest of the results.
Let's talk about relegation, Joel.
Yeah. I'm rattling through the results really quickly so we can get to it. So Villa beating Brighton 2-1. Well done, Unai Emery.
Yeah, well
made Europe. Excellent stuff. I'm going to move it on before Steve. Steve adds in a couple comments here and there. Crystal Palace drawing with Nottingham Forest. Well done again. Excellent stuff.
Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, you know, I can't even start, man. Honestly, man, they've been. What's is it? A Winnie? My man's balling.
Their form at home has kept Nottingham Forest up. That place became a fortress. They beat big teams there. The atmosphere there was old school, man. So Nottingham Forest, well done. Darren Fletcher, the commentator at BT, huge Nottingham Forest fan. We had a bet, he won. I thought they'd go down. So well done, Nottingham Forest.
Now focusing on the key games this weekend. Leicester 2, West Ham 1. Rio, West Ham, who have won the league in the last few years. They've won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. They have been relegated.
Leicester, yeah, Leicester. It's a huge. This is an unbelievable story for the success they've had recently to where they are now. I think unfortunately, this is all kind of the tables have turned. Obviously, since the passing of the owner. Yes, they won the FA Cup after that, but you could see that there was maybe a bit of a downward spiral especially after that FA Cup win. Just the investment into the squad. I spoke to Brendan Rodgers on BT Live before a game, and he really alluded to the fact that the investment into the squad hasn't been anywhere near it needs to be to maintain what they were doing, and they've just spiraled out of control. And the club seems to have lost a bit of direction. Listen, the training ground, the ground that they've got, the facilities, a bit like Spurs. The infrastructure at the football club is tremendous. It's all there, but what you're seeing on the pitch hasn't reflected that, and it's been really, really sad to see. But what they've done this season, I mean, they put them in themselves. They've got so much talent. There's going to be a huge exodus. Look at Tielemans. What does Vardy do? I mean, Pereira, if he gets fit, Barnes, like crazy. What I don't know where they go.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a tough one, but I do think they've got those players. Obviously they're going to lose a lot of players, but I feel like, man, they should have enough quality to come back, man. But you never know in the Championship these days. Man. Like, there's a lot going on there. Obviously, Tottenham beating Leeds 4-1. Big Sam couldn't come and save the day. Harry Kane getting 2 goals on the day. That's 30 league goals for him, but it's not about him. Big Sam couldn't get the job done, man.
What's happened to Leeds? Yeah, Bielsa gets them up. Yeah, go on.
Bielsa to Big Sam in a year.
Madness. Like Bielsa gets them up. The what flies around the club, the positivity. I went there to the training ground, interviewed a few players, and it's like they couldn't believe it. They loved it. They loved the atmosphere, the environment they were in, the culture there was great. Then all of a sudden they get rid of Bielsa, and what happens? The capitulation there. There's no direction. They go to Jesse. Is it Marsh's name is? There's a manager. The identity of the football club, from having a real clear identity of what they were about, coming out of the Championship into the Premier League, and everyone going, this is them. On the front foot, whether you like it or not, we're an aggressive team. We're going to lose a lot of games, but we're going to win some. We're going to be an exciting team to watch, but we're going to be there or there. But so then, obviously, going a little bit under the pressure and losing points and being in a bad position under Bielsa. But then Jesse Marsh's team, what's the identity there? To where they go to with Big Sam, and you're thinking, what is going on here behind the scenes? What is the idea for this football club moving forward? If you're a Leeds fan now, you're thinking, what are we? Where are we? Who are we?
Yeah.
No fight yesterday in the game either. 4-1 in a game like that. Big game of the season. Spurs in disarray. You know what I mean? Just shut down Harry Kane and Son and you're all right. Like in the last, and we're fighting for survival when you get pumped 4-1 at home, at Ellen Road, the fortress. Unreal.
Yeah, cheerio. You won't be missed.
Why are you so...
Everton, by the way, another last day escape as well. 2 years on the spin, they've done it.
Man, what a goal by
Wouldn't have minded seeing them go down, to be honest.
Pardon?
Wouldn't have minded seeing them go down, to be honest.
No, I like Everton. I like that football club. Something about it. I like them.
Just to shake it up a little bit, I wouldn't have minded seeing what they do. I mean, what do Leicester do? How do they go from here?
Don't know.
No,
lose half think about. Yeah, don't know, man. I'm worried for them. They got to have a little bit of investment, definitely, but the right investment.
They should have been all right on FFP. They managed to sell 2 centre halves for 150 mil. Mental.
It's true.
I'm bringing it back to Everton really quickly, right? Sean Dyche comes in. He does the job he's supposed to do. And to be honest with you, he's done exactly what Frank Lampard did. I think the real test for him is going to be next season, like what we saw with Frank Lampard. Is he going to be able to get that team away from this relegation fight? I mean, it's been 70 years since they've been relegated, Everton. I heard the stat on Match of the Day yesterday. For me, decent players, great goal from Decore. They have to stay away from that though, man, because how a club that spent so much money in the last few years keeps finding themselves in the same place, Rio. I I don't know the insides and outs of football club. In fact, that's a club that we need to go do the on the inside on, because we know one or two people there, right? Obviously Ash played there as well, Ashley Williams. So we need to see what's going on and understand the structure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I think again, that's a club that seems in disarray from the top down to the bottom. Obviously, changing managers, the recruitment of some of the players in that squad has been a bit like you scratch your head a little bit. But then, obviously, at the top, the fans aren't happy. They stay up yesterday and they're still shouting, "Sack the board!" Like, so you can see there's a toxic environment there that needs sorting out. But I think they just need Daesh is going to have a difficult job there. It's a big job, difficult job. But I think it's still a great job to have. Everton's a big football club, man. Great fan base, but he needs the full backing of the board, and he needs the recruitment team to be on point this year.
Completely different from the team that they played, West Ham, who before it was all about sack David Moyes. Now, you know, he's in the Conference League final, safe from relegation.
Go on the Hammers.
It's so mad how football changes. And just to mention, so the teams relegated, Leicester City, Leeds United, Southampton, teams promoted, Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton Town. Well done to those teams, man. I'm looking forward to.
I can't wait to go Luton and walk through someone's front room to get into the ground. I can't wait. Seriously, I'm taking my big Dr. Martens and leaving footprints. Oh, do you know what? One of my worst performances in my whole career at Kenilworth Road, actually, as a young kid before I went on loan to Bournemouth. I thought I'd never make it as a footballer after the performance I had there. Yeah.
Really?
What was played there all the way from National League.
Yeah, unreal. Done it in 9 or 10 years. Unbelievable.
That is. So
have they done it with mad investment, or have they just grafted?
I'm not sure. I think the manager there, by the way, was sacked by Watford, wasn't he? Sacked by Watford earlier in the season, goes to Luton and gets them up. Unbelievable scenes.
Yeah.
Well, look at Tommy Tits. Gets sacked by Chelsea. What an escape he's had there, by the way. Lands on his feet by getting the Bayern Munich job and wins the league.
Can we just talk about Mr. Musiala?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah, mate. He's one of my favourite footballers to watch. I love this kid. I'm saying it right now. This kid, if he doesn't win a Ballon d'Or at some point, it's a travesty with the ability that he's got. I think, for me, he's my favourite under-21 player in the world right now. I love him. I think he's unbelievable footballer. Scores the goal that wins Bayern Munich the league. I think he's been their top goal scorer this season in Bayern Munich. Like, for a young kid, England lost out. Didn't go hard enough maybe to get this kid. I'm not sure the detail behind it, but he obviously grown up in England. Obviously got German blood as well, but he chose Germany. This kid, man. But the big question is, would he have even been anywhere near the first team if he stayed here at Chelsea? Yeah. And would he have even got a chance and being playing with England like he does for Germany? I very much doubt it.
Too much sauce with Gareth Southgate. Yeah,
because I look at it, the equivalent of him in our league is Foden, and Foden can't get near the pitch. He wouldn't have played for England. So he's done well for himself to go Germany. He's playing football. Because this kid is a serious, and we're talking about Bellingham, who I love, and I think is going to be great. This kid could go beyond.
It's funny. I was going to get onto you when
he's a different player.
I was going to get onto you when you said best under 21 in the world. I was going to say Rio, you're a high mate. What about Vinny Jr.? But I realized Vinny Jr. is 22. So you got like that's mad how young he is as well, isn't it? That's mad.
Camavinga, Bellingham, these boys are there. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of my favourite one to watch, Musiala.
I'm happy for him personally, but I just don't like the fact that Bayern have won the league like 10 years in a row, man. Like I just think that's so dead, man. Like
show that to a Bayern fan.
Yeah, I know, but it's like the Scottish league, man. It's boring. But yeah, guys, listen I want to say thank you very much, for watching us this season. Vibe with Five. It's definitely been my favorite, the most interesting. It was almost a 5-star performance by Arsenal this season. Next year FC, But please make sure you check out the videos that we've released this week, the videos we're about to release. So we released, Rio did a season wrap-up talking about Erik Ten Hag. Check it out if you haven't. I was with Erling Haaland, the man who broke my heart earlier on this week. Obviously, Steve and Ash were also at the Stockport game yesterday. So there's a penalty shootout clip to watch out there. Obviously, Vibe with 5 today. We've got Steve's compilation this week, Rio's compilation coming out as well. We will be at the FA Cup final. Steve and Nash have got a show coming out. It's just going to be content. So do us a favor, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Joel Bayer, Stephen Howson, Rio Ferdinand, signing out. Vibe with 5. Peace.